You can do a process to find these apartment communities, learn how to manage them, learn how to put together a plan to do the reposition, to do the fix up and the value add, learn how to bring in capital and find the loans for these buildings to be able to go in there and acquire these buildings. Hi, I'm Jason Yarusi. This is the Live 100 podcast, the place that you come to break your bad habits, build your future momentum, and magnify your results. And today we're going to talk about how to grow in your real estate journey. And if you think about this, right, how many of you are sitting there right now and say, man, I want to get into real estate, right? I want to get into real estate. Well, if that's you, ask yourself the simple question of how generic does that sound? It's like, today I want to eat food. Okay. What do you want to eat? But the hardest part here is that you don't know the answer because, I'm assuming you've eaten food before, so you have some ideas of what you like here, but you haven't done the real estate. So you don't know exactly what you like to do. So it paralyzes you from going out there to taking any action. Or maybe you're doing one thing, right? Maybe you're a real estate agent or you're a house flipper or you're a wholesaler. You're not entirely happy, right? But you're stuck in that part because maybe you're doing the worst thing, which is you're doing good, but you're afraid to lose the ability of the good to go figure out what is great. And so what we had to do is that we had to believe in ourselves to just go try stuff, right? It would be like, you've all had kids, right? There's this funny thing is that my kids are connoisseurs of all kind of eating habits, right? They'll eat Chinese, they'll eat Thai food, they'll eat Mexican, they'll eat burgers, they'll eat fast food because wherever they'll go, they'll eat chicken nuggets, right? And so we use that anywhere we go here, we're basically doing the same thing over and over again, just replicating the same thing that we've been doing to get us where we are in a different spot. And what we had to do was trust ourselves that, okay, we might not do well in this. We might not do good, but I can go and I can try something, right? Maybe I don't go buy the home and flip the home myself, but maybe I go join on a team that's doing it, or maybe I go assist them or add value, right? I could go out there and take a course and learn how to wholesale and say, do I even like this? Do I want to go out there and learn how to wholesale? I could be someone who helps on the process with Airbnbs, right? Can I do that, right? And at least the exposure, usually, and I trust in you, is that you understand what you like and you don't like. You might say, you know what? I really don't like wholesaling. Okay, good. Don't do it. What's next? Let's try the next thing we don't like. Because if we do enough things that we don't like and we don't get stuck, that's the key piece, right? If you're doing something you don't like, stop, right? It's the craziest thing. It's the simple thing. But if you are doing something you don't like, well, find something else to do. And because trust me, the next thing you do, you might not like either. Or maybe you're doing it right now and you're doing it and you like it, and you might find in a couple months or a couple of years that you're tired of it. You move on, right? But your ability to go out there and try the next thing, right? So for us, we're doing construction. We want to get into real estate, this broad word, right? This very big word of real estate here that we say we want to get into. And with that, we said, well, okay, I don't know, right? We saw these flipping shows, so I guess we should flip houses. Well, how do we do that? I don't know. So I guess we have to get our real estate license. So Peely goes and gets her real estate license. Now, knowing on this, she's pregnant, so she goes and gets her real estate license. So here we are, we have a real estate license, but we realized we really didn't need the real estate license to do the flipping. In some ways it helps, in some ways it hurts, right? But we had done that. Okay, now she's an agent, right? She no longer uses it today because it doesn't serve where we're going, but at the time, it was action to take. And the action was the most powerful thing forward because it got us started on some journey. And we have to understand that the journey that we get on, the journey that we starts to lead us in ways that we don't know are available because now we're at least on the road further along to where we want to go. Now, what happens many times, right? You've gotten on the part where you've taken a wrong turn, right? You've hit a detour, you've hit a roadblock, you've hit construction, you've hit these other parts of your life here that you have to either turn around, you have to make a turn. Like that's going to happen in your real estate journey. You're going to start doing something and either it's going to kind of be on the right path, and maybe you have to transition a little bit, or it's going to be completely off. Like, great. You're learning, you're discovering. And so with our real estate journey is that she gets her real estate license. We start doing these flipping projects. We're doing these very involved flipping projects. And so what we learned here is that, okay, cool. That was fun. However, with the time spent and all of our needs and all of our energy here on these massive 6 to 10 month transformation of these houses, we could basically make the same kind of money doing something much more simpler in a lot less time. okay, stop doing the really complicated stuff. Do the simpler things, because we've learned that the complicated things can be done in a simpler fashion and make the same amount of money, right? But if we didn't do the complicated things at first, we wouldn't look for the simpler solution. So we start doing the simpler flips, and that's fine too. But then we start to do wholesaling because we wanted to do more activities, right? Because there was only so many flip projects we could find that was simple, because of course everybody's looking for that. So we asked the question of wholesaling. Well, we really didn't like that. Like, we were doing good with that, but we didn't like that either. Okay, what else is there? Oh, well, we'll start doing Airbnbs. We bought beach houses and started renting them out in short-term rentals. Oh, that's a lot of activity. So we started learning how to build some systems where a lot of the responses could be auto-generated. We could prepare for people coming without us having to be texting people at all times and days of the night here. So that was fine, but we didn't like the scalability to that. Well, Peely meets someone at a Reamen, and now they are doing out-of-state rentals. Okay, well, we can try that. You see, we're dabbling, we're trying, right? It's like when you're making chicken, maybe you make chicken one way. What if you made chicken and just added a couple different spices? Or you bake something in different ways, right? Or maybe you're making brownies, you add peanut butter, right? We're trying these things to just discover more ways that can lead us back to something that we like doing. So we come upon and started to do short rentals out of state, right? So we were doing 2 units and 3 units at a time. And we really liked it. Like that was that hit. We were like, okay, cool. This is it. We're putting together these teams. And with that, we're starting to make revenue, and we're not having to do all the day ourselves. But it wasn't going to create enough value to create enough revenue, because we're doing 2 units and 3 units, right? It was like, oh, I'm used to lifting, 225 pounds, but today I'm just going to pick up 10-pound weights, right? It's like that same kind of analysis here. Or, I'm not making a real big change in my diet. Like, I'm doing things that are making me better, but it's not having as much impact because of just the volume that we're able to add on. So we asked, man, like, this is cool. Is there something else? And sometimes the answer is going to be no, but there just turned out that you could go buy a bigger amount of units, right? Apartment buildings. So that became the $2.3 million solution to all of our problems. Because most of the time we think about the amount of money, like, I need this much money. If I'm going to go to do this, I need to have this much. But if you keep asking yourself, like, well, why not me? Or how can I do it? You find that a lot of the answers in front of you if you think about how to frame the question correctly. So we asked, how do people buy these apartment buildings? And what we started to discover was that there's a process. There's a process. You can do a process to find these apartment communities, understand how to underwrite them, put teams together, learn how to manage them, learn how to put together a plan to do the reposition, to do the fix up and the value add, learn how to bring in capital and find the loans for these buildings to be able to go in there and acquire these buildings. So we learned that, and then we took the learning from the book, from the people, and we put the process into place and into action. And what we discovered is that this was everything we were looking for. So I get asked this question time and time again. If you went back, what would you change? Well, nothing, because I can. But what I learned was that I needed all those things. Like, how would I known that I could do this apartment community if I hadn't tried all these other things? Or how would I known I even liked it? Because in my mind, I may be thinking, oh, there might be something better, right? It might be something better, right? We get into these activities and we try them out, and we have to give them time to say, okay, is this for me or is this not for me? So if you're on your real estate journey today, it's like, where to start? Anywhere. And that's the hardest answer I'm going to give you. First thing to come to your mind, want to flip houses? Great. Can you get on the phone, call a realtor, ask about the house you've driven by 20 times? Can you call your buddy Johnny, who goes out there and flips 10 homes a year, and ask if you can walk by a job with him a couple days a week? Can you call the local real estate agent and ask, who are some of the houses that they list for some of these flippers here, and see if she can put you in contact, or if he can put you in contact with them, just so you can learn, ask more questions that can continue to push the ball forward, right? You're continuing to push the ball down the field, but you can't stop. The earth continues. Right now, as I'm sitting here, we're evolving. The earth is rotating, right? Very slowly, but it's continuing to move. It's never stopped, never stopping, always in motion. But us, we get paralyzed in exactly where we are. So if you think about you and your real estate journey today, if you haven't started and taken a step, you're not on the journey. There's only so many books you can read. There's only so many podcasts you can listen. There's only so many things that you can consume here. without taking action. You could ask, well, how many books have you read this year? I've read 200 books. Okay. Well, is that as powerful as the guy who's read one book and put that book into work each and every day and made massive impact? I'd rather be the person that takes one thing, puts it into effort, says, okay, well, that worked for me or it doesn't work for me. Okay, good. If it did work for me, keep going, right? What's next? If it doesn't work for me, stop doing it, right? Life can be simpler than we want. It does not have to be massively, massively involved. Start taking action. Don't worry about the massive income. The first house flip you make, you're not going to be a millionaire. The first thing you do with real estate, you might not do your best. That's okay. But I guarantee the learning experience from that first step, from that first activity is going to give you so much feedback that you are going to feel so welcomed in your experience to get to the next piece because you're now excited because the action that you've been thinking about for years, for months, for decades, for minutes, right, is now becoming real. So get out there today. Take action. Ask yourself, what is the first thing that comes to my mind? What is the first step I can take to do something active towards my real estate journey? If you do that today, if you do that now, you're going to come back here. You're going to listen in our 30, 60, 90 days, knowing that you're now so much farther along your journey that you've been waiting to take for years. All right, I'm Jason. This is the Live 100 podcast. Make sure you go down there, you hit that follow button, give this a share, give this to someone else who's stuck trying to figure out how to get started on their real estate journey today, who needs to hear this, who needs to set the stage to be able to take action today. Let's do this.